What's the most incredible thing you found out about your family? When I started doing ancestry research last year, I discovered that my ordinary grandmother who raised me was actually a World War II spy who saved dozens of lives behind enemy lines. Finding her hidden medals and classified documents completely changed everything I thought I knew about her. Growing up, my grandmother Helen always seemed like the most normal person in the world. She lived in a small house, tended her garden, made the best apple pie, and never talked much about her past. When I asked about her life before I was born, she'd just smile and say she kept busy during the war and change the subject. After she passed away last year, my family asked me to help clean out her house. I was going through her bedroom closet, boxing up clothes for donation, when I noticed something weird about the back wall. There was a small section that sounded hollow when I knocked on it. I found a tiny latch hidden under some loose wallpaper, and when I pressed it, a panel slid open, revealing a hidden compartment I never knew existed. Inside was a metal box that looked like it hadn't been touched in decades. My hands were shaking as I opened it. The first thing I saw was a photograph of my grandmother, but she looked completely different. Instead of the soft, grandmotherly woman I knew, she was wearing a military uniform and had this fierce, confident expression I'd never seen before. Underneath the photo were official documents with letterheads I didn't recognize, all addressed to Agent Nightingale. That's when I realized these weren't just old keepsakes. These were classified military documents from World War II. As I read through the papers, I couldn't believe what I was discovering. My grandmother had been recruited by the Office of Strategic Services when she was just 22 years old. She'd been trained in espionage, code breaking, and combat techniques, then sent behind enemy lines in occupied France. The documents detailed mission after mission where she'd helped Allied soldiers escape Nazi territory, delivered crucial intelligence about German military movements, and coordinated with French resistance fighters. One report described how she'd posed as a nurse to smuggle weapons into a prisoner of war camp, helping 12 soldiers escape. Another document mentioned her role in saving an entire Jewish family by creating false identification papers and secretly transporting them to safety. The family had written a letter after the war, thanking Agent Nightingale for risking her life to save theirs. At the bottom of the box were 3 military medals, including a Distinguished Service Cross and a French Croix de Guerre. These weren't participation awards. These were decorations for extraordinary heroism in combat situations. I sat on her bedroom floor crying, holding these medals and realizing that the woman who taught me to bake cookies and helped me with homework had been one of the most badass people who ever lived. She'd literally saved lives and helped win a war, then came home and never mentioned it to anyone. The most incredible part was a handwritten letter from a general, thanking her for her exceptional bravery and selfless service, and noting that her actions had directly contributed to saving an estimated 47 lives during her 18 months of active service. When I showed these documents to my mom and uncle, they were just as shocked as I was. My mom said she'd always wondered why grandma seemed so fearless and capable, but she'd never imagined anything like this. We did more research and discovered that many female spies from that era were sworn to secrecy and never allowed to talk about their service, even decades later. My grandmother had taken her oath seriously and kept her incredible story hidden for over 70 years. Now I understand why she was always so calm in crisis situations and why she seemed to know something about everything. She'd lived through experiences most people couldn't imagine, then spent the rest of her life just being a loving grandmother who made amazing apple pie. I wish I could have told her how proud I am of her, but I think she knew she'd raised a family who would eventually discover her secret and understand why she was so extraordinary.